Hello, my name is Natalie Organ. You can finally put a face to the name. I just want to say thank you for working with me this semester. I really appreciate it. You took a lot of time and effort to just work with me and email me about getting my labs turned in at a later date, so I really appreciate it. So I'm going to jump right in onto the first question, which was what was my favorite topic covered throughout the semester and explain why. So I think my favorite topic was the food lab that we recently had, the last lab that we did, and I think it's because I've taken quite a few food science classes, so it was just fun to learn more about mixing milk and yogurt together and just seeing how our end result would be, and knowing like the pH difference throughout those 8 hours, because learning about that type of stuff is really fun. And like I said, I've been taking food science classes and my major is animal science, so doing all that type of stuff with more hands-on food industry wise or animal stuff, I love that so much. It's a lot of fun. So into the next question, if you had unknown microbe, what steps would you take to determine what type of microbe it is? So I think the first step I would take is place my sample under a microscope just to see what kind of characteristics we can find, and maybe try out different stains, to see if we get it as a gram positive or a gram negative stain, and just to determine if it's a bacteria, archaea, or eukaryota. And we could also use biochemical tests to see how the microbe reacts, and we could use the litmus milk reaction just to see how the culture would react to, and it doesn't have to be milk, but to see how it would react in the different types of milks, and just to see what the different color situation would be. So that could be a way to test what kind of microbe we would have. Into the next question, imagine you are interacting with an individual that does not think vaccines are effective, and using your knowledge of immunology, epidemiology, and microbes in general, describe how you might converse with these individuals to educate them on vaccines. So if I were talking to someone that did not have any education on vaccines, but to everyone's advantage, a lot of people do not. A lot of common Americans just think, oh, vaccines, okay, I have to get them, so I will get them. Okay, but then there are other people that think vaccines are very harmful to us, which in fact, yes, some may be harmful, depending on how you react to them. You could be allergic to something that could happen. But also a lot of the vaccines that are used in today's science and medicine, they are helping save lives. An example could be the Ebola outbreak that happened in 2013. Now there is a vaccine for that, and there's a less chance of Ebola outbreaks happening, and thousands of people will not be losing their lives because there are vaccines to help with that. So I feel like a lot of people just think, oh, vaccines, the government's trying to control me, people are trying to control me, they're trying to tell me to do this, trying to tell me to do that with my body. Okay, you can see it that way, but then you can also see it that people are, especially doctors and scientists, are trying to protect each other, not just, themselves from us. They're trying to protect everybody from whatever is out there. Recently we had a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and there are now vaccines for that, and less people are losing their lives because they are vaccinated. And a lot of people that get the COVID vaccine, yes, they can still get sick from it, still get sick while having it, but you are having less complications, or your your symptoms, like whenever you get sick from COVID, they're going to be not as severe as usual as, seeing people go on respiratory machines. That's very scary to see. But if you get vaccinated, there's a less likely chance of that happening, and you are protecting other people around you. So that's how I would answer that question. So going into the fourth question, describe at least 2 positive and 2 negative relationships between humans and microbes. So 2 positives is that we use microbes in a lot of our production, like in a lot of our dairy production, alcoholic beverage production. We use them, so they are to our advantage. We are not just willy-nilly playing with these microbes and just, something bad happens and something bad happens or something good happens. There are intentions for these microbes, and they're good intentions because consumers want dairy products, and it's going to take microbes to use those. And another positive of microbes are they are used to make antibiotics, and we are prescribed those. Whenever you get sick, you're prescribed antibiotics to help you regain your usual self and just feel better and get rid of the illness. If you get like a rash or something, it's a very severe rash, you go to the doctor, they prescribe you antibiotics so it could help alleviate those symptoms and help you fast track to get better. And 2 negatives, of course, are that microbes can cause pathogens that no one wants. And obviously that leads to people being sick, and it leads to deaths, or just people being sick and having very horrible symptoms or mild symptoms. And then some other negatives can be skin infections like acne, staph, Lyme disease, chickenpox. Those are huge things that are due to microbes, and obviously nobody wants acne, nobody wants Lyme disease, but it's still something that humans have to deal with. But a good thing is that there are good microbes that we use to help with that. And the last question, many applications of microbes exist. List and describe 5 uses of them. So going back to the examples I mentioned earlier, we use microbes to produce antibiotics like penicillin, or what's it called? It's streptomycin. I'm sorry, I can't read it. Bacitracin. So we use antibiotics because of microbes. Because of microbes, we have antibiotics. Okay. So that's really cool. That's a good positive. And like I said earlier, we use microbes to produce dairy products like cheese. Cheese is a huge friggin' dairy product that is sold all throughout the world. And in the US alone, the consumption is ginormous. And without microbes, you wouldn't be able to produce cheese. And when you produce cheese, you're using Streptococcus lactis, and that is used in the cheese production because when you're curdling the milk, you need to add in lactic acid bacteria to get that fancy, wonderful cheese. So another one is to produce alcoholic beverages. You use those microbes by using the fermentation of sugars with yeast. We use microbes to produce organic acids like acetic acid, citric acid, and fumaric acid. We also use microbes to raise the fertility of soil. And without soil, we wouldn't have our crops and any agriculture at all. So microbes are a huge positive and something that without the application of them, we would not be able to have our own crops in the United States. So to raise fertility of soil, you're leading to nutrients being released to grow plants. So those are my answers for those questions. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.